Easy now, people. We said we were going to customise our Seachem Tidal filters, so let's have a go. We're going to pull out the sponge that came with it, which is good and all, but it's awfully porous. Look, it's only really going to catch the bigger particles of waste before that waste moves on to our biological filtration, which we're not really wanting to happen. So we've got these three grades here. The black, you can see my hand through it. The blue, you can almost see. And the green, you can just see my shadow really. So that means it's getting thicker and thicker. The idea here being that it hits the more porous one first and catches the bigger particles. Then the next one catches the weirder particles, and the last one catches the real fine ones. So we're going to use the sponge that came with it as a template and just cut around it. We don't need to be too neat. If anything, well, all I'm really showing you is a foam pad waving about here, isn't it? Gonna need to bring this into shot a wee better. Hold on. There we go. So we're just going to cut around it, and we don't need to be too exact. It doesn't have to look neat. We're not going to see it in the filter. If anything, you need it to be a wee bit wider than the sponge that we're using, because you can always squeeze it in a wee bit, but if you cut it too narrow, it's going to leave gaps where the water's going to get through, so it's a waste. But we'll tidy it up a wee bit till I've got our shape. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing for the blue one, our medium-sized sponge. And then the same for the green. We try and cut as close to the edge as we can. I mean, if you just chank straight into the middle of it, you've wasted a whole pad. If we try and use it from the edges, there's plenty left to use later on. Again, we're not being too exact, especially as we're moving up the tray, because it widens as it goes up a little bit. So a wee bit of a tidy up to get the shape, but nothing too spectacular. And there we go, we have our three shapes already. Then we're going to grab our tray. I'm not going to use the sponge that came with it, but you can if you want. I'm just going to start layering in the ones that we've cut to shape. Again, it's the more porous stuff first, then the medium pad, and finally the one that is very thick to catch the finest particles before it hits the biological filtration. And you can see there's loads of space left for our biological there. Look at the size of these trays, brilliant. So now we can start thinking about our biological filtration. This bag here has got the Biomax in it that comes with the filter. Not going to go too much into it, but I think it's alright, hence I'm using it again. We've also got some ceramic rings, which I've always used. I really like these. Loads of surface area for your bacteria on them. That's why it's important they don't get clogged, and we kind of filter out all the particles of waste before it reaches them. Finally, we've got our Purigen, which is really good. There's reasons for and against using it, of course. It does polish your water really well, but it does take out some of the organics, and in a planted tank that may not be what you're after. That's a discussion for another day, but there's no point using both of these bags in the filter, so we're just going to take some of our ceramic rings and start filling the bag that's got a Biomax in it. Now both of these bags have been in filters that are running on a tank, in these filters in fact, so they're already cycled, already got a good colony of bacteria on them, and place it in. Now what we're wanting is to go no further than the spillway ideally, and looking at that, there's still a wee bit of space. Keep saying it, this thing holds a lot of filtration, a lot of media. So we'll top it up a wee bit more. And we might even get away with putting this whole lot in. Let's have a wee go here. Beauty of that is, of course, I've got a media bag to use for something else. I don't have to run out and buy another one. So we'll just pop the rest of them in now. See what it looks like when we put it back in our tray. There's one that got away there, look. Nearly got away. Right, throw that in now. And there we go, that's sitting quite neatly up to the spillway. Anything above the spillway is kind of wasted because that's where your water level is going to sit, obviously, as it pours back into the tank. And it leaves a wee hole there for our purigen. All that remains is to replace the tray in the filter casing. Make sure it's nice and level. Maybe got a wee tiny touch too much in there, but it'll be good. And that's us customised the Tidal 75. I can't get over how much media this thing holds. I mean, you kind of get already I'm a fan of this, but ain't it amazing? So that was the 75, this is the 55. The only real difference I made with this one is I've got this piece of filter foam floss pad, which is finer again to catch the really fine particles. And then we're going to add our biological. Now you could add a little bit less and add a bit of purigen if you want, but I don't need to. Both of these filters are going to be running on the same big tank. But again, holds quite a lot of filter media. Really impressed with it. All that remains is to put it back together. Now this is the only feature I'm not too hot on, is the heater clip. I've chosen not to use them and you don't need to. And then we need to position our power cable. It sits in a nice wee groove before we replace our inlet housing. Keeps it nice and flush to the unit. Keeps everything nice and neat. And there we go, we're done. I even like the way this thing looks. And there we go. This has then been running on this tank for a couple of hours. I'm not going to say what I think of it. I'll let you judge for yourselves. But that was a customization video for the Tidal 75 and the Tidal 55. I hope you find it helpful. Maybe if you got a few tweaks to it, you can put them in the comments below. Always looking to improve on things, but otherwise, I think I'm out. Later.